All right, welcome back to the podcast. I got a special guest today. I'm excited to have on with us Ronnie Rodrigues. Ronnie is the CEO and founder of SMT Digital Solutions. His agency specializes in technical SEO and off-page SEO for local contractors. That's why I'm excited to have Ronnie today. But Ronnie's agency has helped many local businesses rank higher on Google across the United States. So, Ronnie, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Brad. Thanks for having me.
So, to start, tell us a little bit about why SEO? Like, why did you get into SEO? Why is that something that you're passionate about doing?
I actually, just to I could take you through a long story, but I'd rather keep this to the point and at least get to your question. But essentially, I've worked in the corporate field and area for corporate finance and operations for well over 15 years. And roughly about 5 years ago, I basically stumbled upon SEO. And then the thing that really drew me in is that, I'm analytical. I'm an analytical person. And so it kind of goes hand in hand, the work that I do. And it fits, my personality quite well. And so essentially around 5 years ago, a little bit over that time, I started dabbling, getting into SEO, and then took a step deeper and really started understanding how it could benefit local businesses. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we were just talking off camera about being analytical and how all that stuff plays into it. So yeah, that's definitely a good matchup for someone with those types of skill sets. So you specialize mainly with local, like contracting, like that's kind of your main focus is contracting businesses.
Correct. We'll say I keep it contractors, home services, basically any type of home service based businesses that travel to a consumer to perform work is essentially the work, the clients that we work with. But yeah.
Awesome. And so here, I got some questions I want to ask you. We may go off script a little bit, but SEO, there's a lot of confusion around SEO and what it is. So give us kind of a 30,000-foot view exactly of what SEO is and what it means.
Okay, so I'll break it down in a nutshell. Want to get right to the point here. Essentially, you're a local business. You want to optimize your business online, your digital asset or entity online, so that way you can show up at the top of, the work that we do is on Google. Obviously, it's 95% of market share is owned by Google. So the work that we do is optimize websites, Google business profiles, as well as various assets and entities online so that they rank for specific keywords. But beyond, those keywords, it's really about search intent and then what the consumer is looking for, and then fulfilling that search intent, if that makes sense. And so essentially that's what we do to help local contractors at a 30,000 square foot view is get you on page 1 of Google, get you ranking in the map pack so that way you can build your brand, build your online visibility, as well as obviously get more leads for your business.
Yeah, now a couple things you said in there that were interesting. One is you said 95% of the market share is owned by Google.
Search, organic search, correct.
Organic search. And I don't think people understand that. Like Google is really all you need to care about. I mean, sure, there's others out there.
Yeah.
But I talk to contractors all the time, and it's like, hey, do you have a Google listing? And they go, no. I'm like
oh, yeah.
Why are you even in business then? Like that is probably the most important thing.
The very important part, yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to mention as far as the search, when you say, I forget the term you use, but search, what would you say, search requirements, or what term do you use?
Yeah, so search or organic search. So essentially what organic is anything that's when you go onto Google, you're going to see if you're just doing a regular Google search, let's say for a particular service in your area, like chimney cleaning or something in your area, right? So you'll search chimney cleaning, plus the city that you're located. Generally, this is what consumers do, right? So that retrieval that that you get back, that's if you do it from your desktop, that's going to be basically paid ads is going to be located at the top. And anything organic, meaning free traffic, is located at the lower half of the page. So that's where a website would come into play. But that's search organic from the online desktop version, but also Google Maps is something that a lot of local contractors don't realize the impact. Like that, it's Absolutely, for majority of contractors, it's an absolute must if you want to get your name out there and have build up brand by having great reviews about your business. Um, Essentially, it's an absolute must, and it's from mobile. And so essentially, when you search that same service like chimney service plus the city, but instead you're doing it from your mobile phone, what pops up at the top is generally all of the we call it Google Maps, and so
Right.
that's where a Google Business Profile is located. Yeah.
Yeah, and they just changed the name of that. It used to be Google My Business. Now it's
Correct.
Google
Yep.
Business Profile. Is that,
Profile.
yeah.
Yes. Yep.
So,
Yep.
so I mean, that the thing with SEO is what we're really talking about for those listening who may not know is like when someone goes to Google and searches, right? And
Mhm.
so if your information is not available, in other words, if you haven't uploaded your business information into Google, specifically like the Google listing, then you're missing out on all of that free traffic.
Absolutely.
And then, there's obviously there's paid version, doing Google pay-per-click and paid options too. But I mean, just the free alone can almost sustain a business for an entire year. Like you could potentially just get
Oh
all of your
yeah.
business from Google for free, not pay for anything, and have plenty of leads. Right? I mean,
Absolutely.
you've seen that happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I really want to emphasize for those that are listening, like how important this really is. Because I talk to a lot of contractors and they don't do this. Like they don't even have a basic listing.
Wow.
Now, we'll talk a little bit more about some more things that you should do with your listing. But like the first thing is just having a basic listing, right? People can't find you if you're not even in the system, basically.
Yeah.
So here's my question. What do you see the most? Like, what's the biggest thing that contractors get wrong with SEO? Like, what do they do wrong the most?
I mean, a lot of times I think there's a lot of there's a couple of things there. I just want to unpack a little bit.
Sure.
Is basically a lot of misconceptions or myths in the field, and so in the area of marketing and SEO, people have they've unfortunately been burnt by either bad SEO agencies, and so that's left a bad distaste in their mouth about what it truly is, or they haven't really been explained like what it entails and why it could potentially take. Building your brand and building rankings over time. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens over time. And so essentially, what people get wrong is they think that, hey, as long as I can I rank in a month? That's like the first thing we get, right? So you get people like, hey, I want to rank within a short period of time. That's not good, because that generally can't happen unless you're ranking for long tail keywords that have very little impact potentially in the search. But generally, it takes time because now you're trying to build and establish your brand against others in the marketplace. And so when we look at contractors, a lot of them will say, like, this is my competitor on page one. I want to beat them in like 2 months. Like that can't happen in most cases. But
Unless you have deep pockets and about 50 people working on it at once.
yeah, in a short period of time, if you we have to look natural in the eyes of Google and what we do and what we
Yeah.
optimize. And so anything that you kind of like trying to force feed Google in some way or really force can maybe hurt your website. And so um it's a journey and not a sprint, is what I tell a lot of
Yeah.
clients. And that basically it can be very fruitful to your business because it can generate revenue for months and months and months. And then beyond that, it's the referrals that you can get from those new customers, new clients, and mainly new customers online, right? So now if you have a referral program in your own business, that's where that can thrive even further, but essentially, yeah. It's one of those things where people think they can get to page one in a month or two, but it's not usually the case. Yeah.
You said in there about you got to Google kind of pays attention to how they do that. I've seen
Yeah.
people talk about like black hat, or I guess that's the term they use
Correct.
for like ways to hack Google. Obviously, you wouldn't want to do that. But what specifically are they doing, or how are they? What's the hacks that they're trying to do that like I don't? That's one thing I didn't understand is like
Yeah.
what are they actually doing?
Yeah. So the thing that comes into play is that Google has had a lot of updates over the years to combat spam and to combat any of these practices that are like shady practices. So
Yeah.
an example of a shady practice or a practice that potentially hurt your website is purchasing GSA links, right? These links are like robot created, they're like software created links, and you can create 1,000 and send them to a website. Like that is like basically putting fire on your home. That's what that equates to. You never, ever, ever in any circumstance want to ever do anything like that, or basically hire someone if you don't, if and not knowingly they may be doing something like that to your site. I mean, it's very known within the SEO industry and community is that you don't do stuff like that. That can really hurt your site. So essentially, the key now to ranking is Google likes to see quality, and so quality meaning so you have your website. The way that Google looks at rankings in their algorithm and the way they factor things in, it's the backlinks to a website that are extremely important. And so if those backlinks are to your website are both relevant and are of high quality, then that has a great impact on your site. But if they're not, that can have the exact opposite impact to your site.
So it's not even, I mean, I've heard of backlinking before, and the more backlinks you have, Google kind of thinks like, oh, this is important information because there's 500 people linking
Yeah,
to
it's
this
like a
information.
popularity contest.
Yeah, popularity contest. It's like likes on a TikTok video,
Yeah.
right? More likes you get, the more it shows it to more people. So, but if you have, and Google, and you know more about this, but like Google page ranks or has rankings for like websites, and so if you have a really bad website that Google's identified as like, hey, this is a terrible website, and then you're linked from that website, it hurts your website listing. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. So you basically are thrown into a bunch of bad apples. It's like it's the bad apple
Guilt
thing.
by association.
By
It's just guilt
association.
by association.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
You didn't actually rob the bank, but you were riding in the car with the guy who did. Right? I mean, that's basically what that is. Explain that one to your attorney. I didn't do it. So, yeah, I'm just looking at my questions here. So, we talked about backlinking, which that's just other sites linking to you, right? Which helps build that credibility. What are some other like techniques with SEO? Like what's specific? If someone's listening to this podcast, I want them to be able to like take a few actions to help with their. I mean, obviously, the first step is create your listing, guys. Yep. Come on. But once they've created their listing, like what's some advice, some steps that they can take that's going to help them increase their SEO ranking?
Okay, so the first step, like you said, is it's actually claim your Google Business profile. So claim that listing. And the way you go about doing that is basically requesting a postcard to be sent to your house in most cases. In some cases, it's handled differently depending on your niche. Like, so if you're a roofing contractor, Google there's been a lot of marketers that spam Google, and so they're stringent in the way that they go about approval. They typically may require a video call to prove the identity of your business. And so it's either going to be postcard to claim your business or a video call or potentially even an email request. So you want to do that with a specific Gmail account that you have created specifically for your business, right? So with that Gmail account, once you create or claim your listing, postcard comes in, let's just say 5 days. Typically it'll take 5-6 days. Now your listing is live, right? So the things that are going to be critical is looking at your competitors. Your competitors have a lot of photos on their Google Business profile. Do they have a lot of reviews on their Google Business profile? Are they putting GMB posts, we call it? And that's basically updates to your profile, like, what's going on with your business, any new services being offered. So those specific things are probably will have the greatest impact for doing basically if you would do it on your own, right? So you wouldn't necessarily need an SEO agency to do all those pieces, right? But that's how you can kind of hit the ground running if you don't already have a Google Business profile.
So updating, and I think a lot of people miss. It's almost like you would Facebook. If you have a Facebook page and you're posting pictures, you need to do the exact same thing on Google, because Google is kind of like a mini version of a social network. You remember they used to have the Google Sites, right? Like you had your own little like social website. Is that what it was called? What
I think it was like Google
called?
Plus or something, but it was a social. I know.
Yeah, it was something because I used to have
Yeah.
one, and that was like their version
Yes.
of
Yeah.
social
Yeah.
media. And then they kind of rolled that into just the maps and the listing itself. So I saw a TikTok actually of somebody was saying, like geotagged pictures.
That correct.
How well does that work for location as far as like getting ranked in the
Okay, so I'm
maps?
gonna drop a couple of golden nuggets here. So like
All
this,
right, here we go.
like listen up, guys.
I got my
Right?
pen
Yeah,
ready.
definitely get a pen ready. So if you are a contractor, and let's just say you have your GMB up or your Google Business Profile up, right? You're on site, on location, and you've done you're about to complete a job, let's just say, right? So you do before and after photos from your phone, on site, customer location, right? So if you do that and have it on your phone, and from there, now from being on site either outside or whatever, parked on the street, uploading to your Google Business Profile those photos, that in itself, you're already providing a geotagged photo right there because of where you are, your coordinates. Google will read the metadata on that photo and know like where you are, your coordinates, and all of that. So it actually will strip out the data before it uploads that into the picture into your Google Business Profile. However, with the stripping out, I don't know that it necessarily, it's not going anywhere. Like they have access to it, so there's got to be a reason why they strip it out. But there's definitely Google stores data, right? So that
Yeah.
will be beneficial. The other thing, right? So this is a huge golden nugget, especially now. So engagement is key and critical with your Google Business Profile. So with engagement, there's like specific things that will count towards engagement. So Google updates. So you as a business owner, updating, let's say once or twice a week about services, things of that nature in your area, right? The second thing is reviews. Customer leaving a review from their cell phone in their location, speaking about the brand of your business and the services provided, will be of great benefit to ranking. So basically, if there's a way that you can approach a client or customer upon finishing a job, and you could say, hey, would you mind leaving us a positive review online? Just let us know, just name our brand, our name of our business in your review, and then what kind of services we perform. So if they can do that, that's extremely it can be very impactful.
So just to make sure so like if they need to leave a review from their cell phone at their house so that it kind of geotags the location of that
Correct.
review. Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
right?
And so the reason why that holds a lot
Okay.
of weight is because in the eyes of Google, that's very hard to manipulate, right? So you can't, as a business owner or a black hat SEO, manipulate a review of a customer in their location,
Right.
right? So that's why it can be very impactful. But that's a huge golden nugget. Yeah.
So does it connect the data with like the pictures? So you take a before and after with a
Yeah.
geotag, and then you get a review from the person with the same location. Does Google connect that information together and say, "Oh yeah, this
They
is
might.
definitely
I'm not
legit"?
sure if they do, but they might. But you're hitting on something that could be extremely impactful as well.
I want to clarify one thing too. So, do you need to upload the pictures to Google from the location, or can you just take the pictures there, like go back to your office and
Um,
then upload them?
As long as the pictures were taken, yeah, you can actually take them from your office, I believe. As long as the coordinates where they were taken,
Okay.
that's where it's.
The
But as
metadata.
far as point of upload, I don't believe they look at that data. I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll piggyback on that with an advice on how to get in the upload. So I just had this conversation the other day is that what you can do is, you get your review link for your Google listing, and then you create a QR code. Like you can go online and get a free QR code, and then you just put that QR code like on your home screen of your phone. And so when you're done with the job, hey, Mr. Customer, would you mind leaving me a review? And then you can have them pull out their phone and they just take a picture of your QR code, which is going to take them right to that review. And then they can leave the review right then. So
That's a great
that's a good
idea.
way to get them. Now I used a third party vendor, which I know like technically Google doesn't like this, but I use a third party vendor called Nice Job, which is an automatic review, capture. And it just sends that. It's all automated. I don't do anything. And it just sends them texts and emails to collect the review, and then it posts it to Google automatically. I know Google doesn't really like it when you use third-party integration like
But I
that,
think
but
you might be a lot of companies utilize that. So as long as the customer is leaving a review, even if they're getting notified via email or something on their mobile, that's where it will be very impactful. Yeah.
yeah, this is like probably my biggest strategy that I used in my own construction business was basically blowing everyone else away with reviews. So on my Google listing for my keyword in my location, I had like 122 reviews, like a 4.9 star rating, and my closest competitor had like
Wow.
18. So just that alone, when people go to the map pack and they see these listed businesses and you have 122 and the closest one has 18, like you're going to
Yeah.
win out. You're going to at least get the phone call first. Doesn't mean you're going to get the job,
Okay.
but you're getting the first phone call. So I preach like about reviews and how important Google reviews are specifically.
So
So
there's another thing I
go
just
ahead.
want to touch on. When you look at also the utilization of a platform like Google versus social media, understand that the intent is completely different. So when someone goes on Google, their intent is to, if they're searching for something, they're actively looking for a particular service in their area. So they're already in a different like buyer stage, like versus flicking through the feeds on a Facebook, in the Facebook app and going through the feed and then having interruptive marketing, which we call it, is basically an ad for a service. They're not there necessarily to look for that ad. They're on their feed, and it's an ad that pops up. But when they're going onto Google, the intent is there and they're in a different mode of like buying stage, I would say. Yeah. Research or buying stage.
Yeah, I mean they're actively looking for a solution to
Correct.
their
Yeah.
problem. And you mentioned earlier about long tail keywords. What exactly does that mean for
So
those that
like an
don't know?
example would be like plumber Chicago, right? So that's a short tail keyword. So if you were looking at a long tail
Okay.
keyword, it could be something along the lines as, you know, uh, toilet drain cleaning Chicago. So that's very specific, and there's more words in that keyword search term. Generally, those search terms that are longer have lesser volume. However, they, in my experiences, I've seen that the long tails, um, they have lesser volume, but they have greater conversion. Basically, when someone's looking for or researching something, let's say in home remodeling, right? And so they're looking very targeted on a specific thing, like remodeling my master bedroom and bathroom, right? So if they were doing something like that, not doing, but basically typing that into a keyword, into the search term in Google, that's very targeted. So that person looking for that service, if your business was to show up top, you have a very higher, there's a higher probability of conversion because now that person has come to you basically on a specific type of search. So a lot of times they're reading upon that. So they're like obtaining information about your business. And then when it comes time to taking the action, they're just closer to the end of that sales funnel, basically, to either, not even sales funnel, but booking a call, booking an estimate or quote. They're just very close to that, in the buyer stage. So.
Yeah, and that actually segues into where I wanted to go, which is why blogs are so important for like those long tail keyword type
Correct.
things,
Yeah.
right? So I had blogs on my website, and one of them was, I forget the exact title, but it was like, what's the difference between framed, frameless, and semi-frameless shower doors? Because that's like someone who's looking for a shower door means that they're more than likely maybe doing a new shower, right, or a remodel. And that's a very specific thing that probably more than likely nobody else in my area has a blog post or anything relevant to that information. So for me, it's like I'm going to show up as the only local, like locally. There may be some national, companies that have something similar. Does Google give more weight though if someone in my town is searching that long tail keyword and I have the match and I'm local? Does it give more weight
Yeah.
to the local
Yeah, so basically,
resource?
it's funny because when you search Google on a desktop from location, it's not necessarily supposed to be location based, but there is differences. I've noticed that if I'm searching desktop here versus 3 states over, or whatever, 5 states over, and searching desktop there for just a specific keyword without we call it geo modifier, without a city name or anything, like just chimney service, right? there would be a difference. Like, and
Right.
like you said, this generally we'll see more preference. But the bigger thing that we see is that when there's good quality written content on a website, in a blog post, it fulfills basically a few of like Google's needs, right? So it fulfills with providing good quality, relevant information to any type of search term. So if you have a very well written, blog post that's really speaking about specific, like you said, the framing of the showers, right? So if you had specific, basically the how to or what describes it to a certain extent, that will be of greater benefit. Yeah. And then being location based. But generally, if you have a bigger website you're competing against that has a high domain authority, they might overcome that on search. So they might show up at the top. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, because I know like you have like your
Yes. Yeah.
Angie's List and Service Advisor and all. They'll do articles for the sole sake of the sole purpose of trying to
Hmm.
take over the rankings, and so
Yeah.
they obviously spend millions of dollars on this, and they know what they're doing. But what about and I don't know this to
Hmm.
be true, and that's why I'm asking. But with updates, when you do an update, you have the opportunity to put a link, and depending on what type of update you do, can you link your blog post and put that in GMB, and will that help as well with the search, the SEO of that?
Oh yeah. So basically, for a few clients, we do this, right? So we have like a blog post. Let's say it's 500 to 750 word blog post. We'll take a snippet of that blog post, repurpose the content by publishing that on a Google Business profile post. So we'll do that and repurpose the content. So you can do that. It's just the number of characters. You're limited on your GMB. Yeah.
But you could still put the link, so you could have like maybe a 2 sentence snippet of it, and then have
You can
the
have a
link
link there.
there. So
Yeah.
if they click on that, it will
Hmm.
take them to the actual article.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you can have a quick summary, a link right in that update, and then if they click it, they can go right back to your website. It also helps your website. Like, 'cause again,
Yeah.
you're pushing engagement and traffic to your site. So it's like a two for one kind of deal.
Yeah, and that's actually a strategy that I've talked about, is that when
Yeah.
if you have blog posts and you're talking to a client and they go, "Hey, I had a question, like what's the different types of shower doors?" And you go, "Well, instead of like wasting 20 minutes telling you, I can just send you a link when we get off the phone here. I can just send you the information that you're asking." And then you're
Yeah.
sending that link, which they're going to click on it, take you back to your website. So it's like you're feeding people to your own, ranking. And plus, once they're on your blog, they're probably going to read other
Hmm.
blogs that you have because they're actively looking for that information. Um, awesome. So
Yep.
I think I already asked that question. In terms of, because this is, I may be keeping you busy after this podcast, Ronnie, which is a good thing. So a lot of contractors, they want to do the SEO, but they have no idea really what to do, or realistically, the issue is not having time. So instead of
Correct.
posting 2 or 3 times a week is not that much commitment. But what is what's the benefit of hiring someone like yourself to do SEO for a local company versus doing it as the owner of the company, doing it yourself? Obviously, it costs money to hire you, but other than that, like what's the
Right.
benefit?
Yeah, so basically, when you look at the benefit here, I mean, in most cases, I mean, if you're a smaller contractor in a smaller city, in a smaller location, and there's not a lot of competition in your area, generally you may be able to purchase a website on your own, get it set up, and it will rank well over time. It all depends on what your goals are as a business. And so, if you're more of a competitive market, looking to SEO, having somebody, an SEO agency, I should say, to focus on your website is huge, because not just there's a few pieces to it, but the main pillars of SEO are on-page SEO, technical SEO, and then the backlinks, Google Business Profile, and content and syndication. And so, for our agency, what we do is we kind of like we're all encompassing as far as the services that we provide from an SEO perspective. And so we know things that help rank sites where business owners may not know. Like, so for instance, press releases. Specific types of press releases can have a tremendous impact on a Google business profile as well as website. Those press releases are generally very favorable or looked at very favorable by Google, but business owners don't always know that part of it, or they're not sure of what steps to follow in order to carry out a successful SEO campaign. So our agency, that's what we bring, is we bring the experience, the knowledge, the expertise in that area, and saying, okay, month one, we do technical and on-page SEO, which is everything related to your website. Month two, within that same month, we might add content as well, add more location pages, more service pages, work through your site and look to see what the type of site architecture is appropriate based on what your competitors are doing. So there's a lot that goes into when we look at those pieces. It's basically to do a very in-depth analysis to understand what it will take to bring a client to page one from their current spot, right? So essentially that's what we bring, is that expertise and understanding of what we need to do, what buttons we need to push to make things move. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did all my own stuff on my Google GMB for my local contracting business, and I'm pretty technical, probably more so than most average contractor, and so just because I had that little extra ability, it helped me perform better. But I'm by no means an expert. Like, so there's, I may know 5 things to do, and the average contractor knows 2 things to do, so I have an edge there. But there may be 25 things that can be done, and that's where someone like you, who knows what they're doing, can really make an impact. And plus, let's be honest, we're not like consistent. Like us as contractors and owners of businesses, we're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this SEO stuff. I'm gonna get my GMB listing. I'm gonna post every day, and that lasts like 2 weeks, and then they never post again. Right? I mean, that's like the typical how that works. And then they watch a TikTok video and they see you and they go, you should be doing this. And like, oh yeah. And they go do that for a week and then they stop and they never do it again. Like that consistency and having somebody that can do it for you, I think is really worth it, honestly, far beyond even actually doing the work. So, what do you see happening this year in regards to SEO, like the general direction of it?
So the changes that are happening are Google is very fluid, right? With changes that happen and updates. This is the thing also that is very helpful, is have a good keen sense on is, Google generally, you have to look at each entity or each like Google Maps and Google Search are 2 different databases. And so when there's updates, there's not one update that impacts generally both. It's usually separate updates that are happening. And so Google Business Profile and Maps are like updated basically weekly, if not multiple times each week, where Google Search is updated probably every other day or every day, but they're at very minimal updates. They're basically the biggest ones, they'll dub them as core updates, and that happens usually 2 to 3 times per year. Those are the ones that we really pay attention to see. Basically, we have a good sense of seeing how websites react from across all of our clients to see what give us better insight what Google is doing potentially. As far as what changes are they making, and how do we either combat those changes, not necessarily, but basically still stay on top and not let those changes impact our client sites. One big thing is Google Maps. There's been a lot of focus to reviews. There's been a lot of focus because a lot of spammers, bad marketers, they'll spam those profiles, and there's a lot of fake reviews. So what we're seeing is that even as of earlier this month, and last month as well, actually, but earlier this month, they do these sweeps where they sweep, like you may be a legitimate business that has 30 reviews, they'll do a sweep and you'll lose 10 reviews for no reason. I mean, so what I see with that is that good reviews are being lost, the legitimate reviews are being lost in the shuffle, but Google is paying a lot of attention to that. So with that tells me they're focusing on quality and authority and reputation there. Like that's really the main focus, because they want to make sure that the reviews that you're seeing that is trustworthy, right? So whatever you're Googling online and you're the consumer and you're reading, you don't want to go across the first 5 businesses that have all fake reviews on their business, right? So when you trust in Google by using Google, right? So essentially that's what they're combating right now. So they're doing a lot of updates that are impacting the reviews, and there's been a lot of jumps in the Google Maps as far as businesses, jumping up and down. So I can tell there's constant updates happening there.
You brought up something I actually wanted to ask earlier, and so
Yeah.
with reviews, is it true that Google will crawl the actual reviews for keywords as well?
Yeah, exactly. So when you have a review, that's why what I mentioned previously is that when you have a review by a consumer that says the brand of your name, the brand of your business in that review, as well as a keyword potentially of the service that was provided, right? You have that in the review. That holds a lot of weight. So Google reads all of that. Yeah, they do have has a lot of weight because again, that's not a business owner writing the review. That's a different, second party or writing that review. So that tends to have a greater weight. That's why press releases are impactful as well, because that's a separate, publication that's posting something about your business. So that holds a higher weight in the eyes of Google. Yeah.
So just to kind of paraphrase, if I have 10, let's say I have 20 reviews and 15 of them, they say, Brad did a great job on our bathroom remodel. Like
Yeah.
everyone says bathroom remodel, bathroom remodel. And then someone's searching for, bathroom remodel, my town, bathroom remodeler, my town. It can definitely pick up that, and it's going to give you a lot more weight because of those reviews.
Correct. Yeah. It'll know to associate that, and that'll have, greater impact when, like you said, at the end of the day, what all Google is trying to do is serve up to the person who's doing the search what they think they want, right? So beyond that, they're going to provide what they think they want: chimney service, cleaning, or home remodeling, right? Remodeling my home. They're going to show you the top people, right? So they're not going to show you the guys that have like 1 star. Generally, there's like 10 guys that have over 50 stars, 55 stars, right? So like when you have guys like that on Google Maps, that's what it looks at. It looks at the trust piece, the quality piece. Usually more reviews, better reviews shows good quality. That's a better trusted company. So that's what they're going to show at the top of rankings. So yeah. And then when you have keywords sprinkled in there, that basically it allows them to really pull that association between your business. It looks to your Google business profile as well as your website from those keywords in the reviews. So it'll even crawl and look at your website. So it knows that association. Yeah.
And then the follow up on that, and I don't know if I didn't know this to be true, but I thought that this was true, and you could tell me. So whenever someone leaves your review, I always tell people you should always respond to every single review. One, it's just good for the person that leaves the review, but that also gets crawled as well.
Correct,
I'm assuming. Yeah. So if someone does leave you a review and says, Brad and his team did a great job on our project, like you could respond to that review and say, thank you so much for letting us remodel your bathroom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So you can almost insert the keyword there that they're not inserting themselves and still pick up on that, search benefit.
Correct. And responding to reviews actually is beneficial as well, because it helps towards user engagement. So you're engaging with your profile, customers are engaging. So that helps, is doing that as well too. But like you said, that's a pretty nifty way of kind of sneaking in your keyword there. Yeah.
Good. I came up with something that was beneficial. Yeah, pat on myself.
I like that.
I didn't come up with that. I just assumed. I knew that I didn't know until you confirmed it, but I was pretty sure they crawled the reviews, so it just made sense. But really, even just from it shows that if someone goes to your website or to Google and they find your listing, and they click on your reviews, which, by the way, guys listening, they will click on your reviews.
Oh yeah, that's definitely.
And they see, so as far as reviews go, frequency, right? Of how frequent the reviews are, and then over a period of time. So you may have 20 reviews, all 5 stars, but if the last one was from 3 years ago, like that doesn't show someone like what's happened in the last
active
3 years.
engagement.
You may have been really
correct,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have been really good 3 years ago, but now you suck. So I always encourage contractors, like it's always you need to constantly be refreshing that. So even on my 122 reviews that I had on my listing, I mean, I responded to every single one of those. I had 122 responses. And so when someone sees that, like, oh, this is an active owner, This is someone who's engaged in their business and cares about their reputation. And it's such a small and very easy thing to do, yet I see people not doing it. Like, it just blows my mind. Those little bitty things like that add up so much. Excuse me. So last, the big question. I saved the big question for last. Ronnie, you
Sure.
ready? What do you see the future of SEO in regards to AI technology?
Oh, so AI, I know there's a lot of, I just think that's like a loaded question because I think AI is going to be a disruptor for like everything. But, to what extent, I guess we won't know until we get there. But with SEO, there's already a lot of chatter about certain things. But at the end of the day, it's, um, I don't know. I don't see it really having a tremendous impact right now.
Well, the biggest thing I would say is writing blog posts,
Yeah, like with
because you can now
the
have
content
AI writing
writing.
blog
Yeah,
posts.
yeah. So we're
Yeah.
in the SEO space, people are doing that already. They're like, I'm hearing a lot about various tools being used so that way they can put blog posts out there, like all auto generated. So what I say to that is, as of right now, I don't know that Google is paying much attention to any of that, but it doesn't mean that within, let's say you had 20 posts on your website that were all AI generated posts. It doesn't mean that a year from now, Google doesn't change the way they look at sites and now begin to penalize sites that have AI written content if they're able to detect it. I mean, so what I generally will say, if someone's looking to do any kind of AI, just always, it's not at a point where it's as well developed that you can just like basically throw something in there, generate a post, and then throw it on your site. Looks very, a lot of times it can look kind of spammy. So you always have to have somebody look at that and at least fine tune that article, rewrite certain things. So you can utilize AI as a tool to be more efficient. I feel like as an SEO agency, but as far as like it's like anything else, utilizing a tool to be more efficient. But I don't see it being like a dominating factor in any way at this point in time.
My wife's a professor, and they were considered the whole upper collegiate was worried about plagiarism and
Yeah.
writing papers and stuff. And there was an article or something, it was a student actually that created a software that can detect if it's AI generated, if it's written by AI. And so they can pretty much, if someone turns in like a essay, they can run it through this software and it will automatically determine if it's AI based on like how the AI writes. Because still with that technology, it still writes in
And the
a way
pattern.
that's slightly different than people talk. Just how they put the words together. But then I saw a guy on TikTok. TikTok's like a wealth of information. That's how I found you, by
Oh,
the way, is
thank
on
you. Thank you.
TikTok for the guys listening. But there was another guy. It's like all you got to do is print out the article and then run it through. I forget the name of the
Oh,
software, but it like takes content and then it rewrites the content in a different way. It just takes the same words, but then like rearranges it and rewrites it in a little bit. And so that pretty much eliminates
detection.
that other software from working. Yeah, the
Wow.
detection software. So it's going to be interesting. I think this year is going to be very interesting to see what happens with AI and business and technology and how that all plays out. Because it's like, I mean, I've been seeing about Chat
Yeah.
GPT and all these others for a couple months, and it's like the trajectory is just like
Yeah.
vertical of where that stuff's going. So that's coming, bringing us to the end. I have one question for you. I like to ask every guest, and I did not prepare you for this question. No, it's a pretty easy one. I always like to ask, what are you reading a book right now, or is there a favorite book that you
Oh
like to
man.
recommend?
So you want to see a book I'm reading right now? Oh, I don't have it over here. Shoot. Ah, it's just a brand new book. So I do. On a side note, it's a day trading book about candlesticks, reading candlesticks. That's what I'm reading right now. If you were to ask me, but generally, I don't know. Some of the books I like, a lot of the ones that One is one of them. I forgot the author of that. I have it right over there actually, but there's a few. Napoleon Hill has obviously the one that Think and Grow Rich, which everybody is well aware
Yep.
of. That's one of my favorites. So
So does excuse me, the candlestick, is that what's that called? What's the name of
Oh,
that
I'd
book?
have
Do
to
you
run
know?
up. It's I have. It's a small. Yeah, it's a
Oh,
small
that's all
book.
right.
It's more about technical, basically the trading. On how to read candlesticks and patterns with candlesticks. It's
Oh,
more
I
of
gotcha.
a
Yeah,
yeah. It's not a very in depth book. It's more of a get a better understanding of how to read patterns. Yeah.
I gotcha. Because of the analytical side
I
that
was
you
drawn to
absolutely
that.
love.
I saw it. I said, let me just grab this. Just to pick up something new.
Yeah, if I read that book, it would be like torture, like for me, trying to trying to read that. That's probably why I don't do day trading and stuff because I don't have the attention span nor the desire to learn all of the
Yes.
data patterns. And
Yeah.
you like see that stuff in like the Matrix. You can see all these lines and stuff, right? And I'm the on the other side of the Matrix, just going throughout my day. Well, Ronnie, I appreciate you being on and talking about this. For those that are listening and they want to get in touch with you and find out about your services, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
A couple of ways. You can email me at Ronnie at smtdigitalsolutions.com. So Ronnie at Sarah Mary Tom digitalsolutions.com, or you can give our agency a call at 508-690-5843. And yeah, happy to answer any questions that anybody may have about SEO and send them in the right direction.
And we'll put the links in the show notes too for anybody listening. What's your TikTok handle in case they want to follow you on TikTok?
Oh, yeah, Ronnie at SEO Marketing, I believe, is what I have. Let me double check that real quick.
That's
Hold
what
on.
you put in the form. Yeah, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
Ronnie, it's just Ronnie SEO Marketing.
Yes, Ronnie SEO
Yeah.
Marketing.
So if you want to follow Ronnie on TikTok, just go to Ronnie SEO Marketing. And again, we'll have those links in the show notes so you can go and follow him on all those platforms. So, Ronnie, thanks again for being on the show. Guys, you know
Thanks,
where to
Brad.
find me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Just search for the Hammer and Grind podcast, and you can find me there. And until next time, remember, profit is not a dirty word. Thanks, Ronnie.